Good afternoon. I hope you all can find some seats. They're putting some more out. We'll give it a couple more minutes to set up some chairs so that everyone can sit down. We're really excited about the turnout today. We hope it's all worthwhile and beneficial for you. While they're doing that, let me start off by saying my name is John Goodrich. I'm the current president of the Master Association. It's my pleasure on behalf of the board of the association to welcome you all here today. We have 2 town meetings during the year. The first one was in March, and this is the second one. It was originally scheduled to be held on August 3rd, but once we learned that the property had been sold and an opportunity would be for us to have the people who were involved speak to us, we thought it would be much better to have it on a day like today when they could all be here, and the turnout confirms that we made the right decision. You've all had the opportunity, I would hope, to read the Seatrailer and the emails that we sent out, trying to keep you all up to date as to what's going on during this process, which has stretched on for what seems like forever, but really started several different times. The last time we got together was with Matt Smith and Greg Kristovich was probably sometime in November, when the presentation took place, and that was November of 2011, I think it was. It was some time ago we finally got started on this. I want to say just one thing on behalf of the association. I don't think I'm out of line by saying this, but I think we owe a debt of thanks to Matt Smith, Greg Kristovich, and his staff for what they've done to keep this place open, functioning, and looking the best it's ever been as far as the golf courses go. Now we have 2 videos going here today, so you're all being recorded. I promise to get this out in some way. We're not sure how we're going to do that yet, but it will be distributed so people who are not here will have the opportunity to see what happened here and share the information that we have. Our good friend Scott Bernruther is doing a backup over there, but the actual AV is being done out of this corner over here. So when your time comes for questions, use those microphones that are in front of you on the 2 aisles. Make sure you give your name and your address and ask your question clearly. We don't guarantee that all the questions that you ask today are going to be answered. Some of these are going to take a long time to figure out. In my last letter in the Seatrailer, I asked y'all to be patient, and I hope you will remain patient and look for the improvements that will be coming and keep yourself involved and interested in what's going on at Seatrail, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the first speaker today, and that is a person who's been a great friend of this association. Throughout the sale process, he has protected our interests. He has worked with Greg, John Rothamel, and I, Greg DeCrane, in bringing this matter along and making sure that our interest was always protected in this entire process. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this microphone over to Matt Smith from the Finley Associates, who is the manager of this facility while this is ongoing.
I'll keep it brief. I'm not the one that you're here to see today, but I did want to just make a couple of quick comments. I'm very proud of what we have done here with Seatrail. The task was very difficult. We were in bankruptcy, but I am very proud of the outcome and how everything has wrapped up. It took a lot longer than, quite honestly, all of us had wanted and expected. But at the end of the day, we've got a good outcome that I hope that you're pleased with, and I'm certainly very proud of. I first wanted to thank you, everyone in this room, for your trust in me in this process. You gave me your support. You gave me your confidence. Many of you gave me your confidentiality, where there were some things that we needed to talk about, but you needed to keep them secret and keep that confidential, and you kept that. And so for that, I want to thank each and every one of you for your support and for your confidence. And for those of you that kept the confidentiality, thank you for that. I was put into the role as being the Chief Restructuring Officer of the resort in February of 2012, but it took a team, and there were a lot of us that were involved in what happened and in the outcome. And for that, I want to make sure that everyone kind of appreciates, and I personally thank each and every one of you But starting out with Greg Kristovich and Bill Shiles and the Kristovich and Associates folks, when they came in, I'm not a golf guy, I'm a bankruptcy guy, and they came in and knew what to do to take the shell and the bones of this place that is so special and to turn it around and make it better each and every day. They didn't have a lot of resources, but they used the resources that they had and made this a special place again. Charlestown Hotels was very instrumental in helping us get back, getting the rooms division back and getting outside guests to be able to join us again. Dana Connolly, the accounting staff, and really every staff member and employee. We've always had great employees and great staff. You know, when Greg and Bill came, we kind of unchained them to do what they do best, and that's to make a great guest experience. And we gave them some tools, but at the end of the day, they would have always made this place and continue to make it. The membership, you know, when we've asked for your support, when we needed your help last year, when we were starting to run short on cash and we asked you to pay for your golf memberships early, you did. You know, I think 97% of you gave us your money in November when you couldn't even start playing golf until January. And so for that, and the relationship and the support that you've given to all of us, very appreciative of that. And then lastly is the relationship that I've developed and we've developed with the Master Association leadership. We opened up communication lines, we listened, we talked, and we didn't always agree on things, but there was a mutual respect, and ultimately we worked through all of the issues that were in front of us. And as a resident here, you may take them for granted, but you have a phenomenal leadership of the association. You know, it was a pleasure to work with them, and I'm very appreciative of that. And when it comes to participants in the process, what I'm most excited about is the new participants to the process. And you'll get an opportunity to hear from them. But we have a new owner, and we have a new CEO of the resort. And these are folks that I have spent a lot of time with. I first was introduced to Peter last November and spent a lot of time on the phone with Peter Reichert, making sure he understood how special this place was. I have had personal meetings with Mr. Pan, the ultimate owner. He came to visit the property in March of this year, and I spent essentially 24 hours with him and his team. And while we didn't speak the same language, I'm not even sure if he speaks Mandarin or Cantonese, and he doesn't speak English, there's a connection. And when you spend some time with him and get to know him, you'll know that he fell in love with this place the first time he saw it, and that he's going to be a great owner. And so when you take all of those different pieces together, it's an exit for me, but it's a start for Peter and for the new ownership. I have to reflect just for a moment. I've been in this room in front of many of you 3 times now. The first time was in November of 2011, and we had tables up here. We just filed for bankruptcy. I think I was new to the job by about 2 weeks. And our message that day, which is typically what you tell constituencies in a bankruptcy, is business as usual. You know, U.S. Air files for bankruptcy and you want to know if the planes are going to fly, you know, they're going to land the way that they're supposed to. Business as usual is typically the message that you want to give. And that's the message we tried to communicate that day. And what it was very loud and clear is that you didn't want business as usual. You wanted change, and you wanted to see some things dramatically change, and you wanted to see different things come out of the bankruptcy. Hopefully you've seen that. I think the next meeting that we had, Greg Kristovich and Bill Shiles were here, and they started to communicate what business as usual is going to start to look like for Seatrail. It's going to get better every day. Resources were limited, but we're going to start to clean, you know, kind of improve the morale and improve the entire resort. And so business as usual is something that we liked and we started to feel very, very comfortable with. And I think now as I come to the conclusion in my 3rd meeting, I'm pleased to say that we will continue to have business as usual. The sale process was exceptionally smooth from the seller's perspective, and hopefully that you know, kind of there was really no indication as to when the seller owned it and when the buyer owned it, and it's been very, very smooth. And so business as usual is the new tone, and it'll continue to get better each and every day. I'm proud to have been a part of this engagement and this opportunity, this bankruptcy and restructuring with you. Appreciate the opportunity and appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. Hello, Seatrail. How we doing? Good. I'm Greg Kristovich. Who's been in the room with me before? Okay, plenty of you. Right. Greg Kristovich, I'm the president of your management company throughout the bankruptcy process, Kristovich and Associates, and I'm thrilled to be back here in front of all of you today because we almost worked ourselves out of a job, right? I mean, if one of the other bidders had won, we might not be here talking to you today. I'm not going to talk very long. I think the chain of the speakers today is sort of symbolic of what we've tried to approach Seatrail all along, and that's a really precious resource and community. And you guys were here a year ago with us, actually June, and we told you that we care and we wanted to make it just a great place for you while we were getting through the sale process. And I think the handoff from John Goodrich to Matt and to me, and I'll introduce Peter here in a minute, is sort of symbolic of the fact that, boy, this thing has been through some real tender loving care since the very beginning, and we couldn't be more excited about, you know, today and the next chapter at Seatrail. So we're thrilled to be here. We're going to continue to work hard to make sure your experience here every day is a good one. There's a lot of planning in the works. Peter will share some of that with you in a moment. But our job is to make sure that you got a great golf experience, you got a great meal, everything's on time and prompt, and that we continue to care about you through the next chapter, which is going to be a really exciting one. So without further ado, I'll introduce Peter Reichert. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the new ownership group. And just on behalf of Tony Johnson and Bill Shiles and all of our team, congratulations to all of you on what's just going to be a great future for us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can you hear me without the microphone?
Okay. I understand. My name is Peter Reichert, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. First time I came to Seatrails was 1991. I was president of the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, and we brought our board down here for a retreat, and it was a fabulous experience. And I've come a couple of times. In fact, my wife reminds me that we came here for one of our anniversaries a number of years ago. And so I really had the opportunity to see Seatrails when it was really one of the premier places in North Carolina. And it was disappointing when I saw sort of the tiredness that it was when I started to come back here. And I'm the guy who led the due diligence for this effort. And before I go any farther, again, I want to acknowledge Matt Smith. Matt was absolutely the very best person we could have asked to deal with as we went through this process. Any information we needed, any time I needed to understand something about a golf resort community, he helped get me to the right place. And I just want to say thank you very much. I would also echo that because of his work, this was one of the smoothest closings that I've ever been a part of. And again, I think that's tribute to he and the team that he had there. The other people I want to say thank you to are the staff who are here. And I don't know, I think they are spread throughout here, but if they would just stand and raise their hand. There they are back there. They are but a small group of the folks who really are sort of the backbone of this place. And the thing that I saw early on was the length of service, the dedication, what they really committed to keep this place going through some very, very difficult times. And then lastly, Kristovich and Associates. Let me just say, I am not a resort manager. I'm not a golf course manager. I don't know that business. These guys know that business, and they have done a fabulous job for the last 16 months or whatever that time was, and they will continue to do that job for you. So Bill Shiles will be the guy that you'll be seeing. Greg Kristovich will be here. Tony will come whenever I let him come, but he's a good backup too. But they are a great team, and you will continue to see them. So thank you guys very much. Let me briefly just tell you a little bit about Mr. Pan. His name is Jean-Quin Pan. I know that that name has not been used much out there, and that's partially because He comes from very, very meager background. His family was farmers in a very rural part of China. He was very fortunate. He started off with small real estate deals. He built it to a point where in Beijing he is a very large landowner. But that's not the only business he's got. He's got agriculture. He's also got mining. When we were with him last time, he has 22 different companies in China that he oversees. This, however, is his very first interest in the United States. He loves golf. He travels the world and plays at some of the very nicest golf courses. So for him, it's a thrill to be able to have this. But he's also very conscious of the whole idea of a Chinese culture coming in here. And he very much said, look, we don't want to change things. We'd like to be a part of it. We'd like to participate. But he did not want this story to be about him. So as the press did not have a lot about him, I hope you'll forgive that, but that was really because he did not want to be the focal part of the story. Since I was the guy who'd done the due diligence, he said to me, I'm going to do this, but I need you down there. So my job is really to represent Mr. Pan, his interests, and to make sure that we are able to do with Seatrail what he has a vision for, and I share that vision for, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. I think here we have two very critical constituencies. You all represent really half of that, the constituency that's here. You live here. You own property here. We are here to make sure that what you invested in continues to be good. It appreciates. It does not depreciate. That you have what you came down here with the vision for, whether it was from the Northeast, from the West, or whatever. You all are the folks who we answer to every single day to make sure the golf courses, Jonesburg Clubhouse, those places are meeting the expectations. So let me just say, I understand that commitment, and we're there to serve that. The other, though, very, very important constituency, and frankly, it helps you, is our guests who come into the hospitality division, because they're the ones who are the bread and butter, and they bring those dollars in here day in and day out. And frankly, it has not been the kind of experience for them, as I understand it hasn't been for you, but more markedly so for them, it has not been the experience that they have wanted. To me, how you could ever think that you'd go to a hotel or someplace in the 21st century and not have Wi-Fi, I don't understand how we let it get to that point. Again, my family lives in Greensboro. Brooks, Pierce, McClendon, Humphrey, and Leonard is a large, large law firm there. They came down here in the spring for a retreat. I was at the gym with a couple of their guys one morning. They said, I'm glad you guys are going in there. We couldn't believe it. We went into the rooms there. We couldn't get Wi-Fi. In fact, Mr. Pan's daughter came with him the last time. Her name is Min Min. She has an iPad. She kept looking at me, how do I get this thing hooked up? I said, you have to go back to the convention center. So there are a number of things that are not adequate for our visitors. We have got to make this place back to where it was in 1991 when I first came here. But frankly, that's just a stepping stone. It's got to get better, and Mr. Pan has a vision for that. On the most immediate front, we have outlined a CapEx plan that we've called a 30-day plan, and I apologize for having done that at the beginning because I think it was misleading. I think most folks thought in 30 days you were going to have everything done. Let me tell you, the problems that we have, and it's not really problems, but it's challenges, and we're working through it, is I have an owner who is 12 hours different from us, so it is now 4 o'clock in the morning there. Chances are at 9 or 9:30 tonight, I'll get a call from somebody who will ask a question about something. Generally, I can send things over tonight. They'll have tonight to work on it, and I'll get something first thing tomorrow morning. In fact, his assistant, who does most of his translation, is a young man named Ambrose, and some of you all may have seen him. About 3 weeks ago, he had a baby girl. Her name is Yu, which is Moon Moon. That's their nickname for her. But he asked me, he said, give me a good name for a girl in the United States. He said, I want a good, strong name, so she'll be known as Sarah in this country. But every now and again, at 11 or 12, I get a note in the middle of the day. I'll get a note from Ambrose, and I know that his daughter has been up in the middle of the night. But there are challenges there. we have put together a plan that outlines a number of things that we're going to do. It's going to be cleaning up buildings, it's going to be landscaping, it's going to be repairing the bunkers on the Jones Golf Course initially. We will move to the others. They are 3 beautiful golf courses, and I want to thank our maintenance crew and our golf maintenance crew for what they've done with what they've got. But I expect I'm going to get another applause here, but we're also going to work on the cart paths too. And I'll quit catering to the applause, but the last part is we're also replacing all the golf carts. Now, that in itself is sort of an interesting challenge that we have with new ownership, first-time buyer in the United States, but the company that's leasing us the golf carts, they need some financial history for the company. Well, there is no financial history because we have just come in and bought this and just created a company here. They'd like a personal guarantee, but they're just not sure that they want a Chinese national's personal guarantee on that note. So forgive us the time there, but we're trying to work through those sorts of logistical issues. I am here to say that the changes are coming, and I hope that you've noticed some of the changes because Bill Shiles has been working with our staff back here in very meaningful ways as it deals with our housekeeping, our food and beverage, our golf course folks. They are there, and in the past where they have had to beg, borrow, or steal for the resources, they will still have to beg for it, but they will not have to borrow or steal for them. So we are really going to be working hard to make sure that those resources are there. We are, however, going to be running this like a business. We are going to definitely continue to try to eke out every cent of profit that we can, but it's not going to be at the detriment of providing that kind of experience that you all expect or that our hospitality folks expect. Longer term, we have begun a master planning process. Ken Mayer, who is an associate from the Moser Mayer Phoenix firm in Greensboro, has been asked to lead an effort to help us look at long-term, what can we really do to upgrade this experience here? And I think upgrading this experience is not just something for the hospitality side, but it's also got to be very aware of you all, the residents who are here year-round, not just the folks who are in today, gone tomorrow. So he is actually here today, tomorrow, beginning to get a feel for this. You've heard us discuss a lot of things. Mr. Pan is very, very interested in a spa. Chinese really do enjoy the spa experience, and he thinks that that's something that would be very, very helpful here. I think if we do that, it's going to probably involve some sort of a boutique hotel that would accompany that. I think what we want to do is we want to begin to offer other amenities for our guests who are here. You all as homeowners have many nice amenities in your facilities that you all have built and funded and everything. And we need to begin to offer some more of these kinds of things to our hospitality guests too. So he'll be looking at that. The other thing that he will be looking at is what we do with roughly 200 acres of undeveloped land that's here. The homes here are beautiful. You all have done a wonderful job with it, and whether it's the condominiums, the townhomes, or the individual, the single-family homes, I mean, it makes a great presentation. And we want to make sure that as we begin to sell these lots, we're keeping them sort of within the mix of what is here. Will there be an opportunity to acquire more land? We don't know. We are exploring that option. There are a number of things that we're looking at. 30 days into it, I'm still trying to get my arms around exactly sort of which course is which and where the holes are and where the Jones 15th green is versus any others, but we are getting there. I would ask for your patience as we move through it, but you will begin to see more meaningful changes other than just the service, which again is critical, but you'll begin to see some of those capital changes as well, or capital improvements as well. I'll close with just 2 things. One, I'm here. I will not be here all the time, but I'm here all week. My family is in Greensboro, so they asked me to come home some on weekends. I'm hoping my wife will come down here some during the week. She's a yoga instructor, so she's teaching up there, but we have a nice yoga room over there at the back. But you'll see me. I hope to get to meet each of you. Don't know that I remember everybody's name, but I am wide open. I tend sometimes to be too transparent. I'd love to talk with you. If you have ideas or issues, please let me know. I will probably direct the operational things straight back to Bill Shiles over here because he continues to be the general manager and he's the guy in charge of operations. But my job is to make sure that I'm getting feedback, I'm giving it to them, and things like that. The last thing I want to say is thanks to John Goodrich, John Rothermall, and Greg DeCrane, who aren't here. And Ralph, I saw you somewhere, but I just want to say thank you guys. I made it a point that I wanted to make sure we got to know you all and you all could have a relationship with us, and I hope we've lived up to our end of it, and I think that's really critical as we go forward. We are partners with you all. We are not on the other side. We are not sort of antagonists towards each other. I think it's critical that we work together. I'll stop there, and I've been told that there might be a question or two, so I'll leave it at that. John, do you want this back, or just, oh, you don't want anything to do with it? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Probably so folks can hear you, I would suggest. Well, here, let me just, here you go.
We here at Seatrail have beautiful amenities. One thing that we can use in the wintertime in particular is the indoor pool at the VAC. I go there frequently, and I've noticed that more and more people are coming there. However, there are still a lot of things that used to be there that aren't there now. And I'm wondering if you have future plans for the VAC in particular.
And that's a great question. I can't answer specifically everything. I don't know about sort of who uses the indoor pool or not, but I would say that the VAC is, I mean, right now, that's what we've got for our hospitality side of the business, and we have got to put more into that. Why can't you sit at the pool and get a drink, get a sandwich, and things like that? Should we be trying to upgrade what we're offering for children in there? Should we be having some regular classes? Absolutely. If we're going to do anything on the hospitality side of the business, the VAC is going to be sort of front and center with that. Let me also say that front and center with what we're doing on the hospitality side of it is our rental pool. You know, our rental pool is critical to our success here. 310 of you all who are owners have put your homes into it, and we are trying to use that to, one, bring folks in here, but also to make you all some money too. We are going through the process now of trying to bring these homes up to the standard that the guests are looking for, which of course does include Wi-Fi, but there's some other things. I understand it's been 15 years since there was any kind of sort of minimum standards put in for those places. Those of you all who do have homes in the rental pool, let me first say thank you very much. We appreciate that. We'd like to continue to do more to help you all. And for those who don't have it in there, we sure would love to have you think about that, because as we upgrade this place and we're able to bring in more people, possibly charge a little bit more because we're more competitive with other places there, I hope you'll look at it as a place where you'd like to entrust part of your investment to. Other questions?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Julie Sullivan, 1195 Kings Mill Court. My question is, do you have any plans to do anything about Eastwood Bluff over in Eastwood Park Landing? And if so, what might they be?
Julie, thank you for that question. Actually, I have just signed a lease for a place over at Eastwood Bluffs for the next year. So that's the first thing I plan to do there. You know, clearly that is an opportunity. I think that I would say that it is in our interest to try to control a parcel of land smack dab in the middle of what we own here. We are having those conversations. I can't tell you which way it'll go just because I don't know, but yes, we do have some interest in including that in this property here.
Peter, my name is Ray Beckmer. I live on Rice Mill Circle. And I have two.
Rice Mill Circle, I've heard that before, so yes, sir.
The first obvious one is, of course, the condition of the road between the 5th and 6th holes.
Right.
I'd like to know what your plans are regarding that.
Right.
And within the last week or so, I'm going around marking the roads, putting white marks.
Okay.
And I was wondering what that.
So Ray, we're going to do a sort of a double on that. I'm going to take, well, I'll let John go ahead and answer the second part of that, and I'll talk about the first then.
The Master Association received a number of roads as part of the closing process, including a portion of Rice Mill, Clubhouse Drive, and the Eastwood Park area, roughly. They've now been transferred to us. The person that you see out there spraying white paint out there is from Barnhill, who are located up towards the supply area on Route 17. They are one of 3 people who we've been asked to bid on doing the work. Certain work has to be done on the roads to bring them up to the standards before the town can accept them. Once the work is done, we will ask the town to take the roads over, and they will all be town roads at that point in time. We're in the process of getting bids. Wayne Hellman is in charge of getting those for us. We hope to have those bids soon, and when it goes on, then we're going to get started on getting the work done. You'll be seeing some construction equipment out there. I would expect to approve any contract at the meeting of the board on the 18th of September.
Right. So the improvements there at Rice Mill are critical. Those are on our CapEx plan to get that done so we can go ahead and transition all of these roads over. Does that answer that, Ray? Time frame. Well, it's really just a question of when we get the approval on each of these projects there, but we are getting the bids. Right now we are securing bids on that as well as the other kind of paving projects that we have here. The paving itself is a pretty significant part of this CapEx, so I'm trying to make sure that we get the best possible bid on that. So I can't tell you the exact time frame, but it's in the 30-day plan. I'm sorry?
Jeannie Deacon, 472 Osprey Court. I'm probably beating a dead horse here, but I'm going to bring it up. We need an elevator for the Mac Center. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's there by our Memorial Gardens. Often people want to have a reception after the bricklaying, and some of the people can't get up the steps. And we've talked about it, but there has not been money available. I wonder if that might be put in somewhere in your plans.
I appreciate the question, and I have been through the MAC, and it's a beautiful facility, and they pointed out the place where they'd like to put an elevator. I really would probably defer that to John and John there.
Thank you so much. For those of you who have moved here fairly recently, you should know about 4 years ago, there was a proposal for an assessment of about $1,200 per family payable in 3 installments. It was voted down. Part of that proposal was the elevator. Whether or not we could ever get a separate elevator proposal put through, I don't know. It's up in the air. We have not tried to do it as a separate one. We tried to do one large plan, and since we couldn't get that approved, whether we would go back for just that one single item, we don't know. Sure, we'd like to have it there. Obviously we would. We'd like to also upgrade that facility some too, generally inside and out. Those things will be coming up at the Master Association at various times, but I can't give you a promise on the elevator, Jeannie. I'd like to, but I really can't because I can't guarantee the people here or the absentee owners will support an assessment for that purpose.
Larry Hershoff, I live on Barony Place Drive, and I appreciate the fact that we're going to be conveying the roads to the town. My concern is none of us are getting any younger, and people have a tendency to drive too fast, including our guests. And so I'm wondering if there are any plans regarding traffic calming, which we can do ourselves before we convey the road, but after we convey them, we'd have to rely on the town council, which is not the happiest place in the world right now.
It's a valid point. You know, in fact, as I was driving over here, I had to make sure I swerved because a guy was barreling around the corner there. I'll have to say we have not addressed that, but that is a concern, and we should probably talk with John and John about that if there's anything that needs to be addressed there.
I'm Ron Poston. I live at the corner of Kings Trail and Coach Trail. At the edges of my lot near the back, we've had several instances of sinkholes occurring during heavy rains. And I know this must be a problem other places in Seatrail as well. I just wonder I know you're aware of them, but what are your plans for all the underground piping here on Seatrail?
Actually, that's one place where we have been able to start things going. We had some folks from Timmins down here. Bill, what was it, last week? Last week, and they've actually begun an assessment on what's going on with the stormwater system there. I don't know how big it is, how extensive that's going to be, but they are, in fact, I owe one of the guys a call later today or tomorrow, but that part is in process. I'm sorry, I can't give you a time frame. I can tell you, I think it's going to be expensive, so I don't know sort of how quickly we'll get to everything, but it's underway.
Peter, I met you at the restaurant here a while back. My name is Chuck Humboldt. I live in the suburbs, Oyster Point. And John probably knows what I'm going to bring up. I've been beating on this subject for about 10 years. The previous owners would have no part of it. Is there any thought to annexing Cobblestone?
Actually, we have had some conversations along those lines, and I apologize. The president of that homeowners association, Bill, and I had an opportunity to sit down and visit with him. Again, there seem to be some issues related to sort of how easily that can happen, but we're trying to foster that dialogue there because I think it's a question of their homeowners association, the master homeowners association, being able to come to some agreement. I don't think you can bring in just some of them. You have to bring in all of them. And then there's obviously a group that owns undeveloped lots there. So to answer your question, I'm aware of it. We've begun to have some discussions. Again, my feeling is, as I said in the question earlier, I'd like to make as much of this contiguous Seatrail, all of us as one, I hate to say it, but happy family if we could. So that's sort of where I am.
Peter, I'm sure this is not going to happen. John Olson, 125 Forest Walk. I'm sure this is not going to happen in the next 30 days, but as you know, the traps on the bird are some of the worst in the area where the greens and the fairways and the tees are probably the best. So I hope that's in your plans, along with getting rid of our bent grass greens that are good maybe 8 months a year and pretty bad the other part. Is that part of your long-term plan?
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part is how long it's going to take to really do all the repairs that you'd like to do with the golf courses because, and again, I'm learning as I'm going, but to take it from bent grass to Bermuda or whatever it is you might do, it's about a 12 to 14 week process. You all know that. Obviously, we're not going to close down 2 of our golf courses next summer to accommodate that, so we'll have to figure out which one goes first. Obviously, whichever one gets closed, let's go ahead and do as much as we can on that. So I think the golf course, to really bring it up to a place where we'd like it to be, is a multi-year process. I think I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it would be 3 years until you really see those kinds of things there. And I think the other thing that we've got to think about is exactly to what level do we want to take the golf courses there. I mean, you're in a place where you've just got literally hundreds of golf courses. So do you want to be the very best here? Is that really going to do much for you all? Is it going to do much for others out there? We've got to decide. One, we've got to fix them so that they are playable and they look good. But then the question is, to what level do you take that? But to answer the question, yes, it is in the plan. And 2, it's going to be a long-term thing.
Peter, Ralph Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I know we're talking long-term on some of those, but something that I know a lot of the members have been talking about for some time is trying to get back to where we were back in the 90s that you were talking about, in the early 2000s, with some rangers on the golf courses, dress codes for people that play on the golf courses, right, and things along those lines. These are some things that can be done without hopefully a lot of investment, but things that would certainly make the membership a whole lot happier rather than seeing people come in with tank tops and shorts and things like that out on what appears now to be a public golf course.
The answer is yes. We're addressing that. In fact, I've had an opportunity to meet with 2 employee groups, and I have 2 more tomorrow. And one of the issues that came up yesterday was from the part of the golf crew out there that said, you know, look, someone comes in from the beach, they want to go hit golfs at the driving range. Should there be a dress code for that? I mean, there's a dress code for the beach, there's a dress code for the golf course. So I think, yes, we need to go back. I think that what's happened over the last 5 to 7 years is as the resources got scarcer, people kind of said, you know, why do we have to do everything? Our golf courses really aren't up to speed, so why do we need to go ahead and enforce all those things? So one, yes, we need to pick everything up. We need to pick our expectations up and our level here. The other thing that is in this CapEx plan right now is uniforms, so that our folks actually have a consistent dress and are looking, they are proud of who they work for, they are noticeable. People can say, here's a staff person, and hopefully we'll be able to get them so that anybody can answer questions about our organization, regardless of where they are in the organization. That's the kind of hospitality experience that we want to put out there. So yes, I think that Bill has actually already begun to work with our folks to do that, but you are going to see changes coming up in that area. That's not really long-term. Those are short-term things.
Peter, Wayne Hellman, Rice Mill Circle.
Hi, Ray.
Wondering what sort of plans you have. I mean, we've seen improvements in the merchandise in our pro shops since Kristovich has come. But are there other plans to improve the merchandise, get some golf shoes, maybe some equipment?
Let me say that Greg and his team were able to work a deal, and I'm sorry, I can't recall the gentleman's name, but who's doing our merchandise in the golf shops now. Thank you to him for doing what he's done, because he's really kept it there. And I've heard some great stories about how we used to have the sales and things like that. Clearly, we need to step that up as well. And I know that Eddie is looking at some other vendors and who can bring some things in. And again, I think it becomes a balancing act. The question is, sort of, are you going to go to our golf shop and buy your shoes and clubs and things like that, or are you going down to Dick's? So again, I don't know, and that's really not directed just at you, but you really have to decide what are we going to buy and put in there that folks are going to buy. Clearly, hats, shirts, towels, all that stuff, and we've got a good selection now. We would like to pick that up some too, and I think we will have other offerings there. So yes, that is in the works, and that's part of this immediate plan too. Yes, ma'am. She's asked if I would expand on the comment about a possible hotel on the property. There's a possibility of a hotel on the property. At this point, I can't tell. What I can tell you is that in my mind, on the hospitality side, this facility that we are in, this is our margin maker here. If we can fill this facility as many days a year as we possibly can, that's what's really going to make the money for us. And frankly, as we make money, we're able to put more of it back in, and that helps everybody out there. In order for us to do this and make this really good, this has got to be a place that doesn't have just good conference facility. It's got to have the best. It's got to have more than just golf, because there are spouses who come and they don't play golf. So we've got to have other things. That's where the spa comes in. That's where the bikes come in. That's where the kayaks come in. That's where a number of other things where we find preferred vendors who can do those kinds of things. a hotel does become a very critical part of that. If this convention center is really going to be sort of the showcase of the coast of North Carolina, and you think about it, this is one of the things. Seatrail is the only golf resort community with a convention center on the coast of North Carolina. There isn't another one. You go to Sanderling, it's a nice resort. There's no convention center. Golf course is pretty far away. This is a unique footprint here. County commissioners next week are getting ready to go to their statewide county commissioners meeting. I don't think they're going out of state. They're probably going to the west or someplace, but when they come to the coast, this is where they need to come. But in order for them to come here, first we've got to have Wi-Fi. Secondly, though, we've got to have some other things. So that's what I would say on the hotel. The hotel is a critical part of us picking this up. Technology in this building. As much as we sort of enjoy having this gentleman here to video this, we should actually own this opportunity here, and they should be right in here so that we can do those kinds of things if we're going to be really competitive. And I'll say this, that Ken and his team have begun to identify other resort communities that have various aspects of what we might like here. It's amenities, it's how they do their conference facilities, it's how they do their housing and things like that. And we'll begin to look at some of those so we can pick and choose what we'd like to be able to put in here. The mandate that he's been given is to have this master plan done by the end of this year. So that's sort of the track that we're on.
Peter, Rich Marshall from Riceville. You're talking about this facility, and I agree, it's an outstanding facility. And these are my two questions. Are we going to develop a marketing staff that will really sell this place? Because we have a great facility. Secondly, in order to really sell this, what I see as a disadvantage is we don't have kitchen facilities on this site. Now you have, you know, banquets in here, and all that food is being satellited from the other clubhouse. I mean, to me, if you're going to put out a quality food program to enhance people who come in here, I think you have to address the food facilities on site as far as the kitchen.
So let me address both of those. First of all, Donna, are you here? Let me pay particular, actually Donna Raven. You're doing great too, Donna, with food and beverage. Thank you. Let me just say thanks to Donna and her staff because they have done an incredible job with the limited resources and facilities that we have. But what her job has really got to be, and we've got to grow that capacity for her, is to begin to really market this place. And it is personal visits, it's going to the conventions, it's doing placed ads and things. We actually have identified a marketing firm that we've asked, and they've actually, it's been interesting, they've put it into 3 segments: crawl, walk, and run. And right now it's in the crawl section, but truthfully, we have got to put money out there now because as Donna just got a group in here yesterday that's looking at June of next year. We need to be trying to get those folks now for next summer, next fall, and after. So that money's there. You would be amazed at how little money she had to work with last year on that. On the food side of it, we are probably not going to get a kitchen facility down here just because the cost of that is incredible. But having said that, let me say that one of the immediate purchases that we've got is hot boxes so that we actually will have a much better product coming down the elevator in here. And that, frankly, is important. I used to go to the annual meeting of North Carolina Citizens for Business and Industry up at the Convention Center in Raleigh before they tore that down. We'd have 2,000 people in here. Good hot box facilities there. My prime rib was done just exactly warm and everything every time I got it there. So I think you can overcome not having the kitchen facility here, and we are addressing part of that immediately. Yes, sir.
Are there plans for the
Go ahead.
Maples building?
Are there plans for the Maples building? There are plans for everything, but immediately everything's going to get cleaned up. There's going to be paint, there's going to be cleanup, there's going to be landscaping and things like that. Then as we look inside there, we've got to really decide sort of what we're going to do with that. Ken and I, as we came back from dinner last night, we rode around, you know, he asked the same question. So what do we do with that? Because you've really sort of split your golf operations and everything here. And part of that is because there is a golf course over there. I can't answer for you exactly what's going to happen. I know this. One, there's golf operations there. Two, there's good restaurant facilities over there. So we've got to do something, because one of the other things on the hospitality side, and this is where the other Donna, who I think has left, but food and beverage is critical. I have been here a few times and seen some of our guests come into Magnolia's in the evening wondering where dinner was. And we don't have that. And I understand there used to be a very good restaurant offering over there in the old Maples Clubhouse. I can't tell you that we're getting back to that or when we are, but there needs to be better restaurant facilities here. Going well.
Hi, Peter. John Donaldson, Crooked Gully.
Yep.
Peter, we've talked at the Master Association meeting about the landscaping, doing some joint ventures. I thought maybe you might want to share some of that with them.
Right. John came to us actually before the Masters Association board meeting and talked to us a little bit about some of the plans there. And truthfully, the most beautiful landscaping is as you come in and the common areas there, and you've done a great job. And I don't know what that plant was that you had growing up that had that beautiful, the century plant. You know, I saw it one time. I guess I won't see it again in my lifetime. So, but you guys do a fabulous job. And what we've talked about, they do. So the two things that we've talked about is it really makes no sense for them to be going down their path and us to be going down our path without us trying to coordinate what we're doing. And coordinating means making sure that we're in sync with sort of what we're doing out there. Secondly, it means trying to use the same vendor, and you've been very helpful in bringing us that vendor and helping to get that price to where we think it's appropriate. So I think it is safe to say that we will be working very closely. Again, I think we have a shared interest in how we are presenting this to. My whole thing when I came in here, sort of my mantra, and I quit using it anymore because I think I was sort of boring people with it, but it's wow. I really want people to come back next season and say, wow, this place is different. I'd like you all to come back next season, if you can remember, and just say, wow, this thing has seen some changes. And landscaping is a critical part of that. My wife is a master gardener, and every spring we say, wow, look what's happened since last year. So I believe in the power of landscaping. Thank you.
Over here, Ash Ashley, Creekview Drive. Associated with the landscaping, I'm hoping somebody, marine biologist or whatever it would take, pay some attention to the waterways within the community. We got Calabash Creek, we got several ponds to dump our golf balls in. And they're scummy. There's fountains in some that work sometimes they don't. It's mossy. Right. There are chemicals that can be applied to clean up those places and make them look presentable. Right. And right now they're not.
Well, I think it's just symptomatic of what's happened with all the public places and the landscaping. So again, we will be addressing all of that. Whether we'll address the waterways immediately, I haven't seen that discussion, but it's obviously got to be addressed, you know, as we go forward, because we can't just do the common areas with shrubbery and things like that, and then they go by waterways and they see that kind of situation. So again, as we look to clean up, it'll be sort of the whole deal. Yeah.
I'm Shannon Oliver. I own one of the club villas, part of the rental program you were talking about.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the target list of what the minimums on those units were going to be. When do you anticipate that coming out, and can you elaborate on it?
We have actually retained a firm that has done this up and down the Myrtle Beach area here, North Carolina and South Carolina, and they have actually come in and helped us. They've walked through what we have rated as the C and the B units to sort of give us an idea of what needs to be there. We still have to meet to say, okay, what's that standard, and now what are we going to ask each of the homeowners to do to get to that point? You know, it's been such a long time there. I think we sort of need to really sort of be in partners with you guys. I can't tell you what that minimum standard is, because we haven't really sort of said this is where the bar is, but we hope to have that out fairly quickly here. because the sooner that you all have it, then we can begin to have dialogue and get this thing going.
Charlene Doolittle, 621 Eastwood Park Road. Is part of your plan to be an environmentally conscious community? In other words, you know, the gentleman that talked about spraying in the pond, are we going to try to clear our ponds and use fertilizers and bug spray that are environmentally friendly? And also, with our new plans, are we going to encourage new people to put solar panels on? And I'm, for one, think the solar energy is great, and why people don't like to see clothes outside when you save so much energy, to me, hits me the wrong place. I realize it's a golf course. However, there are other ways that we may be environmentally conscious as we proceed. Do you have any plans in that area?
I can't tell you today that we have direct plans for that, no ma'am. I can tell you that I think everybody today is much more conscious of the environment, and I think as we go forward, we have to balance what is our stewardship responsibility to the environment, what are the costs associated with it, what are the implications for homeowners. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that go into that mix. I'd say that anybody running a golf course community these days, obviously the environment is playing front and center, either because of their own personal commitment, but also because of federal and state guidelines there too. So the answer is yes, we are aware of it. We are going to be conscious of it. I can't tell you that we're going to have solar panels and windmills anytime in the near future, but that's obviously something that folks are thinking about. Yes, sir.
Steve Slough at Seatrail Drive West. Are there any plans in your capital improvements to gate the community?
No, sir.
Bill Locke, and I live on Crooked Gully.
Yes, sir.
Question I have, I know you want to improve this place and bring it up to the wonderful levels that are going to attract millions of tourists. And what I'm concerned with, too, we may get what we wish for, and what's going to happen to the protection of the golf groups, and are we going to start to lose golf times, and you know, as you get more and more popular? Well, have you have any plans on how you're going to protect the group and have so many golf availabilities for the membership here that are living here year-round, and put up a good bit of dues every year up front so that you have working capital? So we would like to maintain a lot of our golf times and our groups. My question is, will that be available later on?
John, I've been up here now for probably 30 minutes, and it took that long for that question that you said would be the first question I would get. So, obviously, there is concern about protecting the tee times for those who've been here year in and year out. This year, we anticipate getting to about 87,000 rounds of golf played on our 3 golf courses. There was a time when we had 130,000 rounds on these golf courses, so we are far below that point right there. And if you look at actually what is going on with golf playing in this country, it's not rising rapidly. It's sort of moving along at this place. So for us to think that we're going to come in here and we're going to live on just golf alone, we are truly mistaken. Golf is the backbone of this, and it's one of our great offerings, but we are not going to get millions of people in here playing it. I think we will have success, but please come back and talk to me when we get to 110 or 120,000 rounds in the year, and let's seriously talk about protecting those times. I think up until that point, I don't think you're going to have a problem protecting the times that you've got, but let me tell you, we are wide open to sitting down and talking about it if it ever gets to that point. Yes, sir.
Peter, Dennis Delegard. Just a question at the golf. Our packages every year. I mean, you've been really fair with us. Bill worked with us, and the prices have been really, really good. What are we looking at?
$10,000. No, sir.
It's been nice knowing you.
Did he start the bidding?
No, sir. We have discussed that. You know, clearly, you guys have been great. You all have really been a critical part of making this thing successful. From day one, Matt told me about sort of the strength of this community here. Let me just say, we're going to do things to improve here, but we are not forgetting who brung us to the dance. I can just guarantee you that. I can't tell you what the golf membership is going to be this next year, but I can tell you you're not going to get a huge sticker shock with it. I can just tell you that's not going to happen. I can't tell you what the price is, but it's not going to be a huge sticker shock. Did I answer that okay? Yes, ma'am.
Lynn McDermott, Crooked Gully. I have to follow up with the last two questions. I think I've told this to Bill a few times. We are an aging community, and so when we buy a membership for a year, sometimes 6 months out of that year, we either have surgery or what have you. So my recommendation, when you start thinking about what it costs for us homeowners to play here, think about the aging community and all the possibilities and why we're reluctant maybe to put down a lot of money all at once, because things happen.
Yeah, obviously the demographics of this community are what they are, and we have to be very cognizant of that. And I think each person has to make a decision themselves, sort of where am I this year, how's my health, how do I feel about it. But I think obviously those are all factors that come into play as we decide sort of what that's going to look like. And I think right now we do give special situations for folks who've had some issues. So I don't think we've closed that door at all. Yes, sir.
Conrad Stout on Heather Drive. I haven't heard anything about the beach. Is there a possibility of acquiring and developing property there? That would be a great way to increase what was my word?
Exposure.
Exposure, yeah.
At the risk of being too...
And just at what priority, if there is such a thing?
At the risk of really being too flip with answers, we'd love to acquire your property there at the beach, but no. No, actually, the beach property idea is definitely something that it is a high priority there to try to find something. I think there's two. The beach is a great amenity for us. It is so close but so far away. I think there's a couple things we need to do to address the beach situation here. And I can't really say that this is addressing it for you all. You're here year in, year out. You sort of can figure out. Part of this will. First of all, we need to get shuttle service back to the beach there so that people who come here can park here and they're not having to go over there and fight traffic jams and the parking situation over there. So that's number one. Number two, we don't have the beach. We need to find preferred vendors who can put chairs, umbrellas, and things like that for them out there so that when they get there, they've got the kind of services they need there. One of the things, though, that we think would be a very attractive offering is a little bit like what Ocean Ridge has over there, which is that beach club. So that you do, parking will be important, but I think it'll also be a place to get showered, to have maybe some food offerings over there and some things like that. So yes, there is discussions about that. It is a priority. It's clearly not at the top of the priorities. I'd say from a timing perspective, Eastwood Bluffs is probably at the top of the priority list there just because the clock is moving on that. But yes, the whole issue of how we address the beach is definitely a high priority for us because we're a beach resort. We're a beach resort without the beach, really. So. Mr. DeVita.
We've talked about a lot of things, but the facilities, our restaurant, our clubhouse, all of the buildings that are Seatrail corporate buildings are tired.
Right.
And I think you are going to address that. I think the folks here would like to see a restaurant that they'd be confident in bringing guests to,
right,
that would look upscale,
right,
warm. And one thing that this community doesn't have that a lot of communities that we visit have, when we have on-site golf residences, the clubhouse, a portion of the clubhouse is member-oriented. We have none of that. The golf trophies that the gentlemen and ladies win are not displayed for visitors to see. I think that decision has to be made and has to be fit into this community.
You know, I'll be honest with you, Lou, that's the first time that I've heard that. It's a very valid point, and I think it's something that clearly we should address. The question was asked about the Maples. I mean, the Maples really is that course that the members prefer to play as much as anything else, and maybe that's a place where we should address that. But really, we have not begun to address that issue, but I think it would become a part of it. Are there a lot of trophies out there? Because we should probably definitely get those. Okay. Because, you know, it's interesting. The trophies for individuals are important, but the trophies for Seatrail are critically important. And the group that we brought in to help us with our marketing noticed sort of how devoid we were of any kind of recognitions over the last few years. And in this kind of business, you got to be getting something every year. And so that's really what we sort of got to begin to sort of set our sights on again. Yes, sir. There you go. I'll get it. Uh-huh.
Do you have any plans for the building down at the south entrance?
He asked, do we have any plans for the building down at the south entrance? We have talked about the building down at the south entrance, and right now it's a question of sort of what's the best utilization of it. Clearly, we own it now. We need to figure out what we do with it. Whether it's, again, I don't even want to speculate what we might do with that. I will tell you that the real estate building, we have asked the real estate firm to go ahead and vacate those premises just because we have not sold real estate in some time, and we will probably finish some of our master planning before we do that. So we're going to start to consolidate some of the corporate group over there. But obviously we need to decide what we're going to do with that. Yes, ma'am. John, we can sell it to you. I'm sorry. The question was, in the MAC, you have a library that is busting at the seams, and maybe we should move the library over there. So, again, there's all kinds of things. And let me just say, I mean, you guys have done a wonderful job with the Pink Palace and the MAC in making that something that's good for you all. And that's important for us, too. So as we're able to partner on things like that, I'm not going to tell you that we're going to turn that building over to a library, but if there's places we can partner, we're going to look at those things. I think folks are getting restless. I'm happy to stand here the rest of the evening. I know there's cookies and soft drinks and stuff out there. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
On the seventh hole of the Maples, can we fill in the water and put land there?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not even going, okay, that was a joke. That's how much I know. So, yes.
Okay, this is Len Steiner, 613 Kings Trail. This is more of a statement than anything else.
Okay.
You were here, you saw this place in 1991, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did too, and I fell in love with the place. If you can bring it back to where it was in 91, 92, 94, that should be the goal.
Let me just say, that's the interim goal. I can tell you honestly, that's the interim goal, because this place back then was really first class. The goal is to get it first class. First class today is a little bit better than it was in 1991, but first class, yes, that is the goal. I want to thank you all. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Kathleen Bartholomew, and I live on Forest Walk in the Planters Ridge section. Talking about infrastructure, I was wondering if there were any plans to look into water pressure for our homes. I'm not even talking about our irrigation. It doesn't seem to be consistent throughout the resort. Has anybody raised that issue up until now?
I can tell you you're the first.
Really?
However, I'm sure you're not the only one. The water and sewer right now are a county. That we no longer do the water and the sewer. I think I'm not mistaken in saying that. But I think that's obviously an issue that I'm setting up to meet with the county manager and the chairman of the commissioners in the next couple of weeks, and I'll put that on the list to say, sort of, who do you talk to about that? So, again, I don't know that we can do anything about it, but we can always raise the question.
Okay, Peter, I had one other question
Yes,
that's not associated with that. Given the fact that we're at Seatrail going to be concentrating a lot on the hospitality side of the business, are there any plans or is there any discussion about having walkways or bicycle paths or anything like that to make the walking a little safer and the biking perhaps a little safer as well?
I can't address the walking side of it, although I think probably in addressing the bike side, it does address the walking side. I know that the town of Sunset Beach, part of their plans as they take the roads is they would like to have some bike paths coming through here. And I think we would encourage the opportunity for people to run, bike, walk. Again, that's part of what folks want to do when they go on holiday these days. I don't understand it, but that's what they want to do. So, I'll be here. I'll be here this afternoon. I'll be here tomorrow. I am leaving Friday afternoon, but I'll be back next week. You guys have been great. You've been great the last few years. You were great to come out in such force today. You know, you learned to trust Matt Smith. You learned to trust Kristovich. I hope that our relationship will go forward, that you'll find that you can trust me as well. From my side, I know that you can, and I will try to be as responsive as I possibly can. I can't tell you that the answer is always going to be yes, but we will always try to find a way to find some middle ground there. And you guys, again, are a very, very important constituency. You said that we'll be spending a lot of time on hospitality. We will spend time to fix up the hospitality side, but you know, as we do that, that impacts everybody here. And as far as our hospitality side of the business, you all are as important a part of that as anybody else. I mean, they see you all in the places. Your experience here is going to flow back to them. So you guys are a critical, critical constituency. And I just thank you. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to make one point. Our annual meeting of the association is November 9th. We've already talked with Peter and others involved, Greg Kristovich and others, to have another meeting. This is not a one-shot meeting. We have another period of time that's going to elapse, another 90 days or so. Hopefully you'll see some physical things happening here that you're going to enjoy seeing. But our plan is to have another one of these somewhere around the 9th. We'll get together again like this. We'll have discussions and see what other questions you might have and try to bring up to date. In the meantime, I'll see you all on the 9th of November.